Welcome back to Podiatry Marketing. I'm your host, Jim McDannald, joined as always by my trusty co-host, Tyson Franklin. Tyson, how's it going?
I'm fantastic today. Big Jim, how you doing?
Doing well here in Eugene, Oregon. Just enjoying the springtime, the rain, the flowers. It's very green here in Oregon this time of year. So,
And if all goes to plan, this episode should be released around the Easter weekend.
there we go.
Easter Monday or something like that. So, and if you don't celebrate Easter, then it's just a Monday. But for everybody else, though, it's probably Easter Monday. You're probably relaxed and you've got, well, especially you have a public holiday, don't you, for Easter Monday in the States?
No, generally not, I don't think.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Things I learned. Well, in Australia, we have Good Friday off.
Yeah.
And then the Easter Monday off as well. So, to everyone in Australia, happy Easter Monday. You'll be sitting around thinking, oh, what am I going to do today? I'm going to catch up on my favourite podcast.
There we go.
So, listening to this, yep. So, should we dive into today's topic?
Let's do it. What are we going to talk about today?
Today, I've titled this, Do You Need to Differentiate Your Podiatry Business? And this came about, I was listening to a podcast, and they do a Q&A Wednesday, the $100 MBA podcast, and with Omar Zenhome. And he does a Q&A Wednesday, and somebody actually just asked him this question. And when I was listening to the episode, it was really quick. I sort of went, oh, that's a great topic for podiatrists, because it is something that comes up a lot. So the simple answer is no. You don't have to. But, and that's a big but
Yeah.
It's always beneficial if you do. That's the simple answer. And it's sort of one of those things that if you're the only podiatrist in the town and you were booked out weeks ahead, maybe months ahead, and you've got a waiting list as long as your arm, then yeah, it's probably not overly important to actually try and differentiate yourself. But I always say, don't rest on your laurels. Never think that you are invincible and you can never be touched, because everyone can be at one point.
Once you get complacent, that's when the snake jumps up and bites it usually, right?
Ooh, snake facts. Here we go. We've covered crocodiles and bears. Never dived into snakes.
No, just the complacency. We're not going to jump into how to avoid snakes. We don't want to have the lawyers come after us.
Yeah, zigzag or run straight. But anyway, so I'll give you a story. When I moved to Cairns, there was one podiatry clinic here. And in that podiatry clinic, there were 4 podiatrists, 3 that I knew. And the actual 3 that worked in the podiatry clinic were all of my year at university. So I knew them all pretty well. Had gone through uni with them for 3 years or so. And so I get to Cairns. That's the only podiatry clinic. And there was one podiatrist there, this Canadian guy, who didn't particularly like me. And I'm lovable. I don't know why he didn't like me, but he just didn't like me. And for multiple reasons. They did no marketing. They didn't have to, because they were the only podiatry clinic in Cairns. They were booked out weeks ahead. And everybody, most people I spoke to, everyone knew who they were. They were Cairns Podiatry at the time. They were in the city, one of the most inconvenient places. They were on the 2nd or 3rd floor of this building. Parking was awful. And they didn't give a rat's, because they were the only podiatry clinic in town. And if you wanted to see them, that's where you went. And then all of a sudden, I rock up out of the blue. And I keep saying to people, think of like Uber in the early days. In the early days, they were the only rideshare option other than taxis. So everybody was very quick to jump ship. But as other competitors arrived, it forced them to differentiate. And so they have different size cars. They have, you can now schedule it so it picks you up at a certain time in the morning. So I always think, just like when I moved to Cairns, don't wait till all of a sudden the market that you're in gets crowded or more and more podiatrists turn up before you start thinking that maybe I should differentiate myself. When I got to Cairns, I looked at what they were doing. I looked at who they were catering for. And straight away I went, I'm going to be different. I'm going to do stuff that is going to stand out from what they're doing. I'm going to come up with a different name. Of course, it was going to be a different name. I couldn't go with Cairns Podiatry. They got upset about that. Even though they did forget to register it one year, but that's another story. And I had some fun with that. But it was one of those things. I just looked at what they were doing. I've gone, okay, they're in the city. I'm going to move somewhere where I think is a more convenient place, where there's better parking. So straight away, I kept trying to think, what are some of the things that I really wanted to do? So I really made an effort to be different to what they were doing, and it seemed to work.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you mentioned them being on the second and third floor. There was definitely some areas that, if patients had a better option, that they would be open to probably, switching. Obviously whatever most convenient for the patient is probably the way they're going to go. So obviously providing great care is important, but it's interesting that you kind of did a little bit of homework to try to figure out ways to stand out from that competitor.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, so when should you differentiate? I've got a list of questions here or things that you should ask yourself. So if you set up in a town and there's already a number of existing podiatrists there, the last thing the town needs is another boring podiatrist. Another sign goes up and says, such and such ABC Podiatry, goes up and they go, wow, another podiatry clinic. They go to your website, you look exactly the same as everybody else. So the community does not need just another podiatrist. I think they're looking for something a little bit different. And you need to give them a reason to choose you. So what is it that's going to set you apart? What makes you better? Why is working with you the better option? Can you do things better? Can you do things faster? Do you have the latest technology? Are you reinvesting? You're making money and you're not just spending it on a flash car. You're putting money back into your business and showing the community, hey, I'm bringing in this new piece of equipment that's never been here before. You should actually come and check this out. And that gets people talking. So I always think if you introduce something that's never been seen before in the market, straight away, people are going to know you're a little bit different.
Yeah, it can be hard, right? Like you said, just slapping on an ABC Podiatry. Not that we're going to slam our favorite new brand, but
Yeah.
if it looks similar and there's no differentiation, they're probably going to go with the more established player, right? Like, oh, how long have you been around for? So it just, if you're not any different and you don't take the time to identify those opportunities and differentiate yourself, yeah, it could be a harder slog. So, by kind of taking the time to figure out ways to look different, but also just to make things more convenient for your patient can really pay off.
Yeah. And so like what you said there about you put a sign up, ABC Podiatry, and you might even go and visit a professional referrer and you go and visit them. You go, hey, how you doing? They go, great. And they might even refer a patient to you. You go, it's fantastic. Yeah, I'm on my way. But that professional referrer will very quickly go back to who they used to refer to unless you're doing something different. They might see that first one could be a sympathy referral. Oh, you're the new guy. We'll see how you go. But if they don't get any feedback that you're doing something different to the person they've been using for the last 5 or 10 years, 15 years, they will just very quickly go back to what they were doing. So it's really important to think about how you can differentiate your podiatry practice from what everybody's doing. I've got a list of things here. First one, solve a specific pain point. So talk to your existing patients. As patients are coming into your business, you might find a lot of them changed podiatrists. And we've all had that. I used to see this other podiatrist. Use this information, do your homework, and because you'll find whatever they are experiencing, there's probably others that are experiencing the same problem. So if you can then use that in your marketing to differentiate yourself, like say Cairns Podiatry, parking was terrible. Well, it wasn't that parking was that awful. It was in the middle of the city. Just you had to pay for parking. And it was busy time in the city. It was hard to get a park. So it's one of those things that I knew parking was a problem. So straight away, because parking was a problem, I wanted to make sure that we had great parking because that was a pain point. And I used that in my marketing.
No, it makes sense. You really want to by having that additional amenity for your patients, you want to make sure you highlight it. So, if you have that thing, you're not telling people about it, then it doesn't exist, right? So it makes sense that you would put that in your marketing.
It's true. If you don't tell people it doesn't exist, I like that. So that's a really good point. Note that down. The next thing is you can also, to differentiate yourself, is focus on different niche groups and fulfill their needs. So you might talk to a specific group because nobody else is actually focusing on them. Perfect example, and we did this in Cairns, were triathletes. One, they're nuts. Any triathletes listen to me, you know you're crazy. You do, especially when they do the Ironman. Yeah, they just swum 3.5 kilometers, 180K bike ride. Oh, I'm bored now. I'm just going to go and run a marathon. Just lunatics. But they have all the short course ones. But I still think the swim, the bike ride, the run, a lot of places don't focus in on that particular group. So in Cairns, we did that. We got we sponsored different events, and then all of a sudden, and we were speaking their language because we understood what they were going through. And so yeah, we started getting a lot more referrals, and that set us apart from what everybody else was doing.
I was never sure how that you could spend, time doing 3 different activities. I always struggled to, find time to run for 45 minutes to an hour a day, let alone finding time to swim. Finding time to bike, especially the distances you have to train on the bike. So, yeah,
Oh,
hats off to them. But I think it makes sense, like you said, when you can really speak their language and you're known within that kind of group and you build trust with that type of kind of niche patient, uh, you're gonna kind of even get more traction more quickly than you would if you're just, trying to be everything to everyone where, you're not differentiated. People don't know what you're offering. By kind of picking out a group of patients you can really, really help, it's going to help that kind of form momentum with your practice.
yeah, and we did the same thing with basketball. Is we wanted to tap into the basketball community, so we sponsored some local teams. But then we also played basketball. We put in our own team in a local basketball competition. My wife was playing basketball. Then we had a mixed team with basketball. Then we had a national team in the competition. So we were always at all the games. So it was one of those things. We just got known as we were the podiatry clinic. If you're a basketball player, you came to our podiatry clinic. So you can do this with just multiple different sports. It's just focus in on them and make sure you're creating content and value for those people as well. The next thing is to differentiate yourself from what most podiatrists are doing is the overall patient experience. When someone comes into your clinic, is your onboarding process really, really simple? This is just a nice flowing process. And we've spoken about this on other episodes, just about gathering information off of people and whether you're getting it online. Is there less waiting time when somebody comes in? Do they not have to wait very long because you have things set up that you run on time? Or if they have a question about something or they send you an email, do you get back to them really, really quick? They're the sort of things that patients will talk to other people about. Oh, is that the podiatrist today? They ran on time. I've sent
Yeah,
them an email about this. I get somebody back straight away. It's not rocket science.
yeah, it's kind of creating that wow experience for people, right? Like, if it's just kind of a vanilla experience or a negative experience, you're going to get those 1-star reviews. But if how can you go out of your way to really make people feel like that they're special? Obviously, one way is to minimize the amount of time they have to actually sit in your waiting room or sit in a treatment room. Obviously, if you get, a lot of times, maybe it's getting better now, but like you talked about, if you can get people's kind of health information and stuff, over an email before they walk into your clinic, they'll really appreciate that. Obviously people are busy these days, so the more convenient you can make for them and the kind of the faster or the less waiting they have to do, the happier the type of patient you're going to have in your
Oh,
practice. So super, super important. And if there's ways you can maximize and kind of make that an efficient patient visit for them, especially these days when people expect things on demand. That's a little unrealistic for all aspects of foot and ankle care. But the more you can kind of tailor your care to meet those expectations, the happier patients you're going to have, and the more they're going to tell others about what the great experience they had in your clinic.
Yeah, and I used to say to patients, have you tried our coffee? Our coffee is awesome. And they go, no, I never got a chance because you're running on time. I go, well, next time, if you arrive early, you should ask for coffee. The coffee is awesome.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to encourage, get here early, have a coffee because the coffee was awesome.
Right.
And and then I'm going to be running on time anyway. So that just added to the overall experience. Great coffee, ran on time, got out at the right time. Therefore, they go and make their next appointment. And the amount of patients that would come in and just say to us that they would talk about this to other people. So it's definitely a game changer. So the fourth thing is packaging and delivering opportunities. And I'm not going to dig into this because if you want to know more about that, go to episode 172 about your packaging is a massive marketing opportunity. So if you missed that episode, shame on you. Go back, listen to that one, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth listening to the Vino Mofo portion of that podcast is pretty exciting. So
Yes. I thought of another name for podiatry, podiatry mofos. You imagine having a podiatry business called Podiatry Mofos. And I reckon you would attract a certain clientele.
yeah, probably.
I reckon there'd be a certain clientele that would just go, I'm going there. I'm going to see those podiatry mofos.
I'd probably start in
And
New York City. Probably a good place to start that.
I could just imagine our registration board just going, oh, you can't use the word mofos, which you probably shouldn't. So I'm not saying anyone should do that. I don't think if you're a younger podiatrist, I reckon you could get away with it. Anyway, number 5, your brand personality can differentiate you from other people because people buy from people. And if you can incorporate your brand, like showcase your style, your story, who you are, what your values are, it's no different to my podiatry clinic. We had a superhero theme through it, where each room was a theme with a different superhero. We had different emblems on the doors: Superman room, Spider-Man room, Iron Man. I always said, yeah, the bathroom door had Thor's hammer on there because he was the god of thunder. And which patients used to find hilarious. They used to think that was really funny. That's the sort of thing podiatry mofos would do. But anyway, I showed you this before. My Captain America thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
My little fan, people can hear the sound effects. It's like a mosquito. But yeah, so I like superheroes. That was part of who I am, part of my character. And we just thought, let's just bring this, have a little bit of fun. So part of our whole branding was fun. We're the fun podiatry clinic you go to. Take our work really serious, but we like to have a good laugh. Patients always have a good time. They leave smiling, have a good coffee. We run on time. Everybody's happy.
No, absolutely. I think that's a great point. Is you have to, if you're just that bland, every podiatry clinic in the world is just the same, kind of mentality. It's much more boring. You're gonna have more fun at work. Patients are gonna have more fun coming into your practice, and like you talked about, you're gonna be more memorable to them. It'll be more top of mind. So just the positivity all around will kind of help, distinguish you and grow your practice.
Yeah, and nobody wants boring. I'm sure most of the people I talk to who listen to this podcast on a regular basis, and I was talking to someone this morning, and the one thing that they all say to me is they enjoy the banter and fun that you and I actually have on the podcast. When they're listening to it, they just said, yes, we're talking about serious topics that are definitely going to help the business.
Right.
But they also like the little bit of humor that is thrown in there every now and then, because it's just not dull. We could produce the same podcast and we could just go, hi, Jim. You go, hi, Tyson. Well, today we're going to talk about marketing. Now, there's a lot of podcasts in podiatry already that are like that. So
Yeah.
this one you want to do it. So differentiation is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters better. I think that is the key. So many things in your business. Just do what's really important. Things that really matter to your patients. Just make sure you do them better.
No, I like that way of looking at things. And yeah, we definitely like to have some fun here because life's too short to be too serious all the time.
I know. And our goal is, you called me mofo a couple of episodes back. But that threw me. That really threw me. That took me by surprise.
Uh, Gotta
It
keep you
was
on your
funny though.
toes.
Yeah, definitely. So a couple of things I just want to finish on. Remember, keep things simple. Complexity fails, simplicity scales. So if you guys just got simple processes for doing things, simple things that differentiate you, then it's easy to get your whole team involved, and everybody will just follow suit the way that you're doing things. And also, if things are too complicated, I always say a confused mind says no. So whatever you're doing, if it's confusing your patients, they're going to go somewhere else. Like previous episode when we were talking about just your website and making sure it's really clear, concise instructions, you're easy to find, they can find the information. I've seen websites you go to them and it's like a train wreck. It's just you get there and it's like a dog's breakfast, like a bowl of dog's breakfast. Just it's messy. And if a patient sees that and they get confused looking around, they're going to leave. Not going to actually do anything.
Absolutely. You have to keep it simple or they'll just walk away.
And the last thing I want to say to finish up on is just keep staying ahead of the pack. So once you differentiate yourself, like I said earlier, don't rest on your laurels. Keep differentiating. Keep looking for ways that keep you relevant, keep you top of mind with your patients. Like I know when we were in Cairns, we were the first place to bring in a treadmill. The other clinic in Cairns didn't have one. Then they got a treadmill, dodgier version than what we had. Then, because we had a flash one, then we got video cameras set up so we could do video gait analysis. Eventually, they started doing it. So it seemed to be everything we did, they were about 2 years behind us. And by the time they were saying, oh, we've got that too, it was too late. We sort of owned that market. We brought in our own milling machine. When we heard about lasers for fingernails, we brought that in. So we were always just introducing stuff and trying to stay relevant and trying to always make the community aware that Pro Arch Podiatry, or these days it's now ABC Podiatry, is different to what everybody else is actually doing in the area. So that's all I wanted to finish on.
No, that was great, Tyson. I really love the topic of differentiation. I think it can be, obviously you and I have differentiated, when we started our different podiatry, obviously Podiatry Legends, Podiatry Marketing, Podiatry Growth,
Yeah.
Ways to kind of help we have experience doing this. So definitely if anyone has any, questions or, wants maybe kind of get some ideas about how they can differentiate, Tyson's got a lot of, great experience in this niche, but also, he can help you along the way with any type of problems you need with the coaching and such. So definitely reach out to him.
Yeah. And like I said, there's big companies that you can go to for Google Ads, or you go to Jim. There's big coaching companies out there that you can go and get business coaching done. I said, oh, you can work with me because I'm different.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't have this big corporate thing on, or this is a structure, this cookie cutter thing that you've got to go through. It's like, I know what podiatrists need. I know what they want in their businesses, and then that's my goal. Help them get there. Exactly the same as when you're dealing with someone doing Google Ads or doing the websites and looking at that aspect.
Absolutely.
So it's a big win for the little guys.
David versus Goliath.
Ah, yes. Let's bring out my slingshot. Was the slingshot he had?
Yeah.
With the one thing right in the eye?
Exactly.
Okay, Big Jim. I look forward to talking to you next week.
Sounds great, Tyson.
Okay, see you later. Bye.
Yeah.